No, when you do nothing, you know that nothing will change.
Welcome to another episode of the Have You Met Me podcast, a podcast in which we invite people to our studio for an insightful conversation. We talk about their experiences and perspectives. In today's episode, we are talking with Gerko Brink. He is a former prison guard and is currently project lead of Work Through Sport, a project which helps to reintegrate inmates into society. Enjoy the conversation.
I did get the diploma. So
Okay.
I had the diploma, but I thought, no, this is not what I want. So what I did, I go to a military service. And those days I think, was the last year that was possible as to go as volunteer into to going to military.
Oh, okay. And it was not mandatory anymore, right?
What?
You also had the service that it was mandatory, so every male above 18, I remember my father had to
Yeah.
go to military.
Yeah.
But it was the same.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Was
Okay.
the last year.
Okay.
So I had lucky, and I didn't know to do something else, and so I have to go to for testing because when you're 2 meter, you're not going above 2 meter.
Oh, then you're not allowed to
It's
join
not allowed
the
to
military.
go.
Oh,
But
okay.
I'm 2 meter 3, so I had to stand there at the testing and a little bit going down. So it was tested at 199.8.
Perfect.
So it was good.
Yeah, you got to check.
So I was released for 1 year to do something. So I went in military. I was a hospic for 1 year, and during that period, I do security courses. So that was for 1 year. I do that. During that year, and after that year, I have to go back to Hardenberg, where I'm from. And then I thought, okay, I am going to do something with security. Because I had that diploma and I thought maybe that's better for me.
Yeah.
I'm big. I think, yeah, that can be something, can be interesting. My father was police officer in those days. And he had connections with asylum seeker center. You know what I mean? AZC.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for refugees that they...
Yeah, who comes from outside and staying.
they fled
like
their
Ter
country
Apel.
for... Yeah, exactly.
Like Ter Apel.
Like Ter Apel now.
Yeah, it's an issue in this moment.
Yeah.
So I worked in not in Ter Apel, but I worked in those days. We had something like this also in Hardenberg,
Okay.
and I worked in the security about for 1 year, 1.5. In the meantime, I had forgotten that I had even written a letter of application to the prison in Zwolle.
Oh.
And at one point, I was invited for an interview, and I accepted. So I thought, okay, I'm going to work in prison, in the security.
Yeah.
And I worked there for 5 years. After 3 weeks, I thought already, oh man, I have to go back to Hardenberg, to my former job.
Yeah.
But I didn't. I stayed there because I do some education there, schooling, and my idea was to go to the department. I wanted to work with the people on the department.
Oh yeah.
But that was not possible in Zwolle those days. So it has to spend about 5 years, and then I got the chance to go to Ter Apel. Those days, in the beginning, was a prison for Dutch people, and later on it was also a prison for foreign people. On this moment, it's also a prison for foreign people.
Yeah.
So that was my job. I go there to Ter Apel, and I worked on the department, I think, for about 12 years or 15 years.
Okay. And working on the department, does that mean that you work directly with the prisoners?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
oh yeah.
You do daily schedule every day. So the prisoners wake up in the morning. You wake them up at 7:30 around, and then they follow a program. And depends on the program what they got. Dus normally you have half a day walking and half day recreation time. And recreation time is, for example, you go to the library, you go cooking, you go to sport, things like this, education.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. But you have different kinds of programs. So for each department is perhaps different, or is there?
No, usually they have the same program. They
Oh,
have
yeah.
the same program, but every department on another time. So when downstairs have in the morning working,
Mm-hmm.
then upstairs has recreation.
Oh,
And
okay.
after in the afternoon they change it,
Oh,
they
yeah.
turn it around.
Yeah.
And in the evening, on those days, you had every evening there was recreation time.
Oh,
Did
yeah.
you go and playing card with the inmates or playing ping pong? Yeah, I was the
But then
star.
you also join with ping pong and
Of
just
course,
yeah.
I was the star.
Yeah, you were the
I
star.
was very good in ping pong.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I was very good.
But I can also see that you see everything going on, and if you work directly with the prisoners, you perhaps also kind of get to know their stories.
Yeah.
And then you are among people who've maybe killed someone
Yeah,
or I don't know,
of course.
did something else. Uh, that is a completely different vibe. Or is that not really the case? Is it just not like that in the prison that you talk
No,
about that?
yeah,
Or?
of course, you have some separate kinds of prisoners because when it's going about sex offenders or something of abuse with little childs, they will be separate from other prisoners, also
Okay.
for protection,
Yeah, for their own safety.
for their own safety. But normally on the department you have all kinds of criminals. You have criminals for just robbery or just uh, doing some selling drugs or murdering or everything is coming on one department.
You mentioned also education, that you also have that in the prison. Is that could you go to school somewhere there, or is it a course that you could follow for rehabilitation, or
Both,
both?
both. Yeah. When you are in a prison, there are school possibilities. So they have education rooms. It's some things you must follow. When the courts say you have to do something about aggressive behavior, they have special courses for that.
Yeah.
But the most of the time is you can go to education for volunteering.
Yeah. Could you also share some stories about how the structure kind of goes in the prison? Is it always very organized, or do you also sometimes maybe lose someone, or you never know?
No, normally it's very structured because they have the program, so they have the timetable. You have the prison guards. You lock people in. In the beginning, when I started to do that in Ter Apel, for example, it was very. When you think about it, it's very strange that you lock somebody in, a human being. You lock somebody in, and you go home.
Yeah.
And next day you come back and you lock him out.
Yeah, and this person is still there. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's strange that we do that with people. You know what I mean? It's a strange idea, but when you do that a few weeks, you will be used to it because yeah, that's the system, and we do this because people did some crimes,
Yeah.
and we want to punish them, and that's one thing. And the second thing is we want to rehabilitation.
And in the prison, if you mention rehabilitation, the people are maybe already working on it to okay, what is my life going to be like when I get outside
Yeah.
again, or maybe they already have a job and just a small sentence. That they maybe find other people who are like-minded.
Of course,
And
that can be a problem, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, some people say, some criminals say, this is like a university of crime because you went in prison. And for example, we mixed all prisoners on the department. So you have the prisoners who have to be there 2 or 3 weeks, for example. And we have to, of course, they are sitting together with people who have to stay there for 6 or 10 years.
Yeah.
So the younger offenders they can sometimes learn the bad things from the inmates who have to be there for a lot of years.
And you mentioned that at first it's strange going to the prison, locking someone up, going back home and doing it again, but then you get used to it after a while. Do you think that also changes the way you treat the prisoners as compared to someone else?
When I worked on the department with the prison itself, I never checked what somebody did. You know what I mean? What his crime was. It was for me not important. For me was much more important. Um, uh, how do you say that? I want to judge people by their behavior and not by their crimes or mistakes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because when I was younger, I'm also coming from the football club. I see a lot of things around stadiums, riots, fightings, that kind of things, and I think a lot of mistakes everybody can can make. So to judge people by their mistakes or by a mistake is not in my nature. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but then you can also come to the whole conversation. I think about the ways of punishment. Do you go for a humane route, so to say, or would you go for punishment? So if you would say, okay, I think in the Netherlands a little while ago they had this conversation about people going too fast into prison. But maybe a course or some guidance or anything in that sense would help better, as otherwise you really get people from society into prison and then they have to go back, and that's maybe too big of a step. I don't know how your ideas are on that topic. Or.
I think it depends on every prisoner has his own story. There are a lot of prisoners who want to change, or who wants to live what's a normal life. The normal life is what we said is normal life.
Yeah.
For some of those, criminality is their normal life because that's their environment. They grow up in an environment like this, and that is normal for them.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of prisoners who want to change or who want to be part of the normal society. Mm-hmm. And when you can give them the tools to reach that or to go there, it spares society a lot of troubles outside, but also a lot of money because every inmate in the prison costs a lot of money.
Yeah, but I can also see if you, for example, maybe did a robbery or something.
Yeah.
Because you're out of options, because you're in debt, or for any other reasons you would do a robbery, that you could also say that prison is not the best option to then punish this person, that maybe also there's another way to punish, or at least put them on the right track.
No, they do also in Holland a lot of, and becoming often and often to give not people a prison sentence, but an alternative punishment.
Oh, okay.
So that they have to stay home for a while, or to have to do alternative work outside. Because you can put somebody in prison, for example, for 3 weeks, but in those 3 weeks, a lot can happen outside. So if somebody is working in a company, it can be in those 3 weeks that he can be fired.
Yeah.
But his wife is so angry because he's going to prison that his wife lost him with kids and everything. So they use after 3 weeks he's coming back in society without a job, without a wife, for example. Yeah, it can be a possibility for a new life in crime.
You have go straight back in because your whole life.
You met some nice people in prison, new networks.
Yeah. So instead of going into the criminal network that they've maybe built or have access to in prison, but then going more.
That's true. But most people they come from a criminal environment.
Yeah.
A lot of. It's not easy to get out of that environment, and you try to do something about that during prison time to give them new skills and new possibilities. And sometimes it's working, sometimes it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But doing nothing is not an option. Now, when you do nothing, you know that nothing will change. So when I worked in Ter Apel, I had the chance to do another job, and it was I was working on the reintegration center. It was a department in the prison who working with reintegration. And those days I had also many connections in Europe with other football clubs, with fans. And I saw also in England, for example, I saw projects with prison and football clubs. So I went on my private journeys. I went a few times to England. I went to London. I went to Cardiff. I saw there the connections between prisons and football clubs, and I thought, oh, why we don't do that in Holland?
Yeah.
So I had already, of course, the best connection was with FC Twente. So we started in Ter Apel in the prison to have cooperation with FC Twente. And they had a project there. The name of the project was, I have to remember, scoring with employees or something.
Okay.
Scoring with employees. And there were 15 companies in the business club of FC Twente who delivered jobs for people with a distance to society.
Okay.
So I thought, our people in the prison have also
Yeah.
distance to society.
Yeah.
So we arranged that also people who were in prison and came out of the area of Enschede were possible to work in the companies who are in this project. So that was the first project I did directly from the prison in Ter Apel to FC Twente. Yeah, when I was working in Ter Apel in the reintegration center, we did different things with reintegration, for different kind of education, school, but also employment. So near a project with FC Twente, because this was only for the prisoners who came out of the area of Enschede. We did also, because Ter Apel is in Groningen, we also did for the prisoners from Groningen speed dates with employees from that area. So working is one of the most important things to get people out of crime. Social network, very important, and work after detention is very important to stay out of crime.
And with the project is now nationwide, right? Through the whole Netherlands for several prisons.
Yes.
Also several football clubs?
I did a pitch on the new day eve of the headquarters. And we had chances, they asked the staff members of the prison of Ter Apel, when you have an idea, please do a pitch. So there were several rooms, and all the rooms are full of staff members who are on the new day eve. And I had the lucky that the boss of all prisons was in my room. And I talked about the connection with FC Twente. I told about what I saw in England with Cardiff, Cardiff City, for example, and I thought about the ideas, what the possibilities are when you are going more connections with football clubs or sport clubs in Holland.
Mm-hmm.
And he was sitting there, and he said, "Gerko, you are completely right." He loved that idea. So he said to him after the convention or the pitch, he told to the director of the prison where I worked in Ter Apel, okay, give Gerko a chance to do this for 1 or 2 years. So let him do this job and make the connections and let him show the results, what the adventures are with this idea.
Yeah.
So I started. I went to, during that time, I went also to Veenhuizen, because in Ter Apel there were coming foreign people, and foreign people, it's not necessary for reintegration to Holland, because they go back to the country where they came from. So I went to Veenhuizen to work there, and from there I make a lot of connections in Holland. And we started with FC Assen, that's in the surrounding of Veenhuizen. And I think we are now working with about 50 football clubs in Europe, in Holland. The pitch is 7 years ago. I have 3 different pilots. Maybe I can tell something about this first. 3 different pilots. The first one is working as a volunteer at amateur clubs. And somebody is working at the amateur, always one, not 2 or 3 inmates, because
Okay.
you want a new social network. If you send a group, it will be a group in the group.
Yeah.
So we said, okay, we do one prisoner to the football club, and they get a new social environment, and they work as a volunteer. But I make the agreement with the football clubs. If a prisoner is doing his job very well, the club is looking for paid job in their network, because all football clubs have networks, business clubs, sponsors, and so that methodology works very good.
Mm-hmm.
So prisoners started out to working, and then they're going on, in a paid job.
Yeah.
And most of the time they stay as a volunteer also at the club.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm also a volunteer. I'm a football coach at a football club, and I have also a paid job. So inmates, some inmates do that too. The second part, we do the same in football stadiums of professional football clubs. Bigger stadiums, nice environments. For the inmates, it's also very interesting because it's some kind of status, because it's cool when you have to say, okay, I'm working in the stadium of
Yeah, a big club.
FC Utrecht, for example. I'm working there and I'm a fan, I work for the club. So it gives them status too. It's very important those days. And also there's business club sponsors for paid jobs. And the third one is the Inside project. And that's on the last 2 years most important pilot for me. And the Inside project is a project that a football club, a trainer of a football club, comes in the prison. Dus normally we send people to a football club, and now a football trainer is coming inside the prison.
Oh yeah.
And the football coach is a project about 8 weeks, once or 2 times a week. And what we do in those projects is 2 things. The trainer of the football club is working on the core values of a football club. And working together, discipline, respect, all life skills. All the trainings, all the football sessions are about those skills. So it's during 8 weeks, but during those 8 weeks, we have also the network is coming in from the football club. So we have an intermediary for the football club. We are looking for those projects, especially for inmates who are looking for a paid job. So when the project starts in the first week, they deliver in their CV, and then the talkings, the speed dates, are during those 8 weeks with employees of companies from this football club.
Right.
And in the 9th week, we organize a match. And we organize a match between the inmates in the project, most of the time between 12 and 14 inmates, and the business club of the football club. Also, all the inmates who reach their goal, who are still in the project, because we have also, when your behavior is not good, we kick you out. When you're not motivated, it's finished, So you have to earn it to be in the project. And during the match, we're eating together. We have the certificate. Everybody gets the certificate. And also the first signing contracts are signed with the inmates and the companies or the employees who are involved in the project. And all the inmates who are in the project, they start with the project in the clothes of the football club. Also with status. So everybody is joining with FC Emmen tricot.
Yeah.
And when they finish the project, they can keep the outfit. We have now directly 12 till 14 inmates who are in the project. And we are doing it now around 9 prisons. The goal of the project is to let them work in the network of the football club. So directly paid job by the network of the football club. On this moment, it's more important to have somebody who is motivated to work than the opposite. If you have a motivated prisoner who wants work, it's easier to find work than to say, okay, we have here a job for a painter in this city, and we are looking for somebody in the prison.
Yeah.
It's so difficult to find somebody.
Dus then you don't really have the motivation or the direct connection perhaps to...
Yeah, of course. If we have somebody who wants to work, on this moment, the society, there's a lot of workplaces.
Yeah.
is a lot of less of work in society. So it's a much easier on this moment to let prisoners work somewhere in society. And that's the reason we use football for it. Because football motivates, it's a fantastic catalysator
Yeah.
to bring them to real life again.
Yeah. Do you also see a lot of difference in the kind of, I don't know if it's the right word, but return rate? So that you would say, okay, people are not in this program, then you see 60, 50, 70% of people back in prison. Compared to this project, that you would say, okay, but then you also see 70% will not come back to prison.
There can be a lot of circumstances why
Yeah.
people are not coming back to prison.
Yeah.
Or just they coming back to prison. And it doesn't say for sure that when somebody is working outside, that is the cure, but it can help
Yeah.
to be the cure.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah, of course there are there are many variables that help.
Yeah, of course, yeah, many of that, and this and the work is one of the most important one. And I'm happy that a lot of inmates are in the project. I don't see them back in prison, and I know the results because we had now 7 years, about 500 inmates were involved in the project, and we have around 175 inmates who got a job by the project.
From these success stories, would you say that there's one story of an inmate that's stuck with you? That you were like, oh, this is a great story, or great that this person made it?
I remember there was a Nigerian guy. He went from he lived somewhere else in Holland, and he came in a prison in the north of Holland, and his wife left him because they found something in his car at the border. Yeah,
Yeah.
drugs, of course.
Yeah. It's like keeping it in milk.
Yeah,
drugs.
but he said, of course, I didn't know. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he got a punishment. I don't know for how many months, but he stayed in prison, and then he went back to the city where the prison was.
Okay.
But because his wife left him, he was not from there. He knows nobody. So he started as a volunteer at the football club, amateur club in that city. And we make an appointment with the chairman of the football club, and they said, okay, we give him a chance, and he became the team man. He was bringing around the tea during matches. He was cleaning the dressing rooms. He was helping everywhere. And nobody knows he was a former prisoner, but he was selected well. He was not aggressive one, not a sex offender or something bad for a club. Just the club said, okay, we need volunteers, let him do his job. So he does his job, and he was very popular because the other volunteers of the club, they were a little bit. He was curious. What happened? But they know when he just started there in the prison, and he got a little living room in a flat somewhere in that city, but he had nothing.
Yeah.
And he just started at the football club, and they liked him so very much. He was they saw, oh man, he's a nice guy. So those volunteers, they arranged a lot of things for him. And they got an old television for him, chairs. So they helped him to get a new life in his new room. And he did some interviews for the football club, but everybody liked him. And after a few months later, he was able to have a paid job. So the club was looking at a paid job. Then they got him a paid job in the harbor. In the area was a harbor. And he started there, and he's still starting there. And with Christmas, he always sent me a text, SMS.
Yeah.
Happy New Year. So I think, okay, one of the first examples where it starts with, and where you see, okay, you can make a difference for people by doing making connections with the right people, and That's everything. People have to do it themselves.
Yeah.
It's my way is not to do everything for a prisoner. I don't believe in that. I think if you put people in their strength, that they have the possibilities to do it themselves.
Yeah. It's great that they then, through community, really get a new chance.
Yeah, because
After
they will
and
come
also-
back. They will come back in society.
Yeah.
We have, I think, I don't know how many. I think 40 people in Holland who have life sentence who will never be returning in society. But the most people going back to society, and I thought it's about 10,000 people every year.
Yeah.
So they can live everywhere around you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you and you want a safe society, and if you don't change people and they are the same criminal or they have the same behavior sometimes, your surroundings or your area will be not safe. You can better give them new opportunities.
Yeah.
Older you will become, or easier it is to work with inmates because you have experience. And when I just started, I was happy I had the experience with 2 years in the asylum seekers world, because a lot of things happens there. When I was there security, but I also was the security man, was the overall man who did everything. My advantage was that I was 2 meter big.
So you really found your passion, would you say, in the project, in this line of work?
Before already on the department to work with the inmates, and now especially because I'm a big football fan, and this is hard to do. This is sport and food and detention, so this is the perfect combination.
When you talk with people, for example, your neighbors during New Year's or at a dinner party, something else, do you then also get a lot of, I want to say judgment, but it sounds very negative, but more...
No, I know what you mean.
Yeah, the people say, oh, but then this is your day, for example, that they say, oh, I have these assumptions, then...
Yeah, but it's funny that not many people want that discussion with me. I don't know why, because I'm very clear in it that you have to give people second chances. And when people are very negative of the system and say, oh, the prison is like a hotel, that a lot of times it's like a hotel. Okay, but this hotel, it's like a bedroom. You know what I mean? A bedroom with one bed and a television.
Yeah.
And they lock you up normally at 5 o'clock in the evening, 5 o'clock. And the door will be open at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Every day again. If you want toilet paper, you have to ask a prison guard, do you have toilet paper? So everything you want, if you want the telephone, you have to ask.
Yeah.
So, you have a television, it's true. And you get food, you can live with it, and you are not punished, or they are not beating you in a prison like some other prisons in the world. But it's still freedom.
Yeah.
It's the end of freedom. Yeah, you work with humans, and that's the biggest. The job that I'm doing now, because. I'm doing this project now because I was working in Ter Apel on the department, and I thought when I want to achieve more for these people, I have to climb higher up in the company. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So on this level, I can only do something on the department. That's it.
Yeah.
So I went back to school and to get my higher degree diplomas.
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Yeah.
Because with that diploma. It was for me easier to get this job what I have now.
Was there a time that you kind of felt that space, like, okay, I want to do more, or I want to make a difference for the inmates, for these people?
No, it was a natural thing, because I started as in the security, and very fast I wanted to do something more for them, so I worked with the department. But on a moment, I had also the motivation to do more for them. So that was the time to go back to school and to get my diploma. And there was not a circumstance or something why I did it. It was, by age.
Yeah.
After 10 years of playing cards and ping pong, I thought,
Dominating in
I
ping
can
pong.
I can do that till my 60th, but I can do maybe also something more. So then I have to make an investigation in myself and to go back to school.
So, what kind of study did you do?
I did social work.
Oh, okay.
For prisons, it's very interesting and necessary that we also show what we do on a positive way to society, because the most of the time you see that when there's something about prison in the news, it's negative.
Yeah.
It's about drugs in prisons, it's about fights, it's about escape.
Yeah.
So and sports is fantastic way to show positive public value. We use also my project for this public value, positive public value, to show what we do in prison for reintegration for not the easiest population in Holland.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
So
but
be welcome. Be welcome.
Oh, I think we'll for sure
Think about
pick
it.
you up on that.
Yes.
Nice. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Gerko, for joining us. For the listeners, you can find him on LinkedIn and read more about his project on the website of the government. We'll link this in the description.